Well, good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Jacqueline King, and as promised, we have the amazing. I lovingly call him my big brother because I've learned a lot from him, and he just is just near and dear to my heart. How you doing, Dr. Knowles?
It's so good to see you, Dr. King.
It,
I've been thinking about you lately, hoping you're okay. We probably have gone the longest in the last, I don't know, 5 months of not talking as much as we have in 3, 4 years.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I miss you too. So I know you be busy, but you can pick up the phone and call me, and I can pick up the phone and call you.
It works both ways. Yes, it
Yes.
does.
So I wasn't gonna get up under that bus because I know you're witty. But anyway, I'm so glad that you're here and that we've been anxiously awaiting to talk to you. You have had a stellar year, not just because of your brilliant daughters, but because you are living your best life.
I
You
am. First and foremost, I feel good. My health is good. Because when we travel so much, Gina and I, it's real hard for me once I get in hotels and to exercise and even to stay on my diet, quite frankly. But I'm
Mhm.
glad to be home. I will be home for a couple of months. I worked out today. I'm back to my 2 miles walk, 2 mile walk in 45 minutes. So I feel really good and really excited about talking to you today. I don't normally get this level of excitement, but I'm really excited
Oh, oh, you
to,
make me feel
to,
so
to
good.
talk to you and talk to your viewers and let's just have a conversation.
Well, I've been thinking about what I was going to ask you because it's not my first interview that I've done with you, and I reflect on things that we've talked about, and so I know you come from your parents were amazing people, and you came from very humble beginnings, but they had work ethics, and so they passed that on to you, and you passed it on to your girls, and you and Miss Tina did an amazing job. I mean, what are the chances you're going to have two celebrity daughters? Uh,
Yeah. You
but
know,
but you,
um, Dr. King, I dedicated this month. This is Women's History Month. Um, and so I've really dedicated. And surprisingly, if you go on my social media, you begin to see, and already I put up my mother, got 5,000 comments. People that know
I know I saw
my
that.
side of the family, and I'll be putting up my aunt, who has an amazing story. But on both sides of my family, my grandfather was first generation entrepreneur. Uh, my mother was an entrepreneur. I'm third generation. My kids are fourth generation. I had a long conversation with Jules, my grandson, who I'm so proud of, that he's now officially a professional model.
I
Uh,
saw that too.
and out of the box, he got New York, and then he got Milan last week, a couple of weeks ago, and he'll be in Paris a couple of weeks, a month from now. He's doing phenomenal to start out at that level. So we look at my father's side. My grandfather was a entrepreneur. My grandmother was an entrepreneur. So we had very educated on my dad's side, very educated. My aunt went to college literally at 16, and very accomplished. Like for example, John Glenn, when he landed in the ocean, that was my uncle in the Navy that went out and opened a hatch, swam and saved him. That's the kind of family I come from, with that kind of
Wow, wow, that's amazing. Yeah. So I mean, so it's really in you. Entrepreneurship is in you. So I know. How do you? I mean, I know that you're a hard worker. You're a smart man. Your girls, I know you talked to me. You said that if they had whatever they wanted to be, you let them flourish in what they want. You didn't force it, right?
Never. And I think that's a mistake that parents make when they say, my kid's going to be this. That's a huge mistake because I teach a lot of those kids that were frustrated, tried to do what their parents wanted them to do when some of them really wanted to be in the music industry. And a lot of parents are like, you're never going to do that. And so they tried it their parents' way. It's most of the time, Dr. King, it never works out when you force someone to do something that's not their passion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always say if you find your passion, you're going to find your purpose, right?
Right.
And you always say that if you're having fun, I'm trying to think of how you say the quote.
I always say if you live your passion, you never work a day in your life.
That's what it is. I couldn't remember that quote.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of it. Yeah, and that's a fact. So you're living your best life. And so what I really love about you is that, and you and I are both, we sort of retired.
No, I'm not. I can't.
Well, you are. I mean, okay. So what I mean is you don't work for anybody. Let's put it.
Well, I've done that for like 30 years.
Well, I haven't done it for 30 years, but we pretty much do our own thing, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And the thing I love is that you have made a decision because you've done everything. You've had the gospel recording label. You've had what? I don't know. You managed Destiny's Child. You sold equipment. Was it medical equipment?
Yeah, and that's the thing where we are, and I'm glad you brought that up, Dr. King, because I realized probably about 6, 7 months ago that the messaging about my legacy and my story was getting confused.
Mm-hmm.
People really didn't know. They know me as Destiny's Child's manager, Solange and Beyonce's father, but they don't really know a lot of things that I've done in my lifetime. Most people don't know, as you were saying, I sold zero radiography with Xerox in the medical division, which was the leading modality in the 80s for breast cancer. I was the first Black to sell MRI and CT scanners in America with Philips Medical Systems. I ended my corporate career with Johnson & Johnson as a neurosurgical specialist. That's kind of different. Most people don't, live that kind of corporate life in sales and marketing and having the opportunity to be the #1 sales rep in the world for Xerox Medical. Most people don't know in the music industry that I managed Nas, that I made 5 young Black men in 2002. They were all in their late 20s, early 30s. They were artist managers. They were Black, and I bought their companies. And so as a result of that, I had Ken Du Isaac, who managed Mary J. Blige, eventually married her. I had a young man out in LA, and Dr. Irvin, Dr. J, rather, his son, Julius Irvin III. They had Eve. I had a young man in St. Louis that managed Nelly. I had Demet Guidry in Atlanta that managed Mary Mary. And on the management side, we had Mario and obviously Destiny Child and all the ladies individually. But most people don't know. On the record label side, we made the last OJ's albums, Earth, Wind and Fire, Kool and the Gang, De La Soul. Most people don't know that. They just know Beyonce. And as you said, very grateful. A Black man built the #1 gospel label when I partnered with BET Sunday Best for 4 seasons. Most people don't know that. So I learned a long time ago, most people don't know that, we were fortunate. I don't like to use the word I, but I'm going to have to start using it more. I architect the career of Beyonce. People don't realize I managed her for 22 years. Her first 3 albums, she's only done 6. The first 3 were on my label, and I was her manager. And so that's getting lost. I'm hearing a whole lot of people take credit for Beyonce's career. That's not true. A lot of
But
people.
that's hard to do. I mean, because
Yeah.
first of all, you and Miss Tina had these brilliant girls. First of all, I was talking to someone the other day and I said that, your kids, for the most part, follow your work ethics. They follow, if you, sit home and you don't do anything, there's a good chance that your kids are not going to do anything too. You
Mhm.
and Miss Tina had the beauty salon. A lot of people probably don't know that, right? And you
Yeah,
did.
I had to correct TMZ the other day about the hair salon. They were questioning the new product that Beyonce and Tina are coming out with, Sacred, and they were saying, well, do they have is this authentic? I was like, what are you talking about? We had the largest hair salon in Houston for 17 years. Beyonce was there a lot. Like I think that's pretty authentic. Yeah, people don't know about House of Darion. That our family, me, Beyonce, and Tina put together House of Darion, and I was the chief marketing officer. Most people don't know I've sold Music World twice. I sold it in 2002 for 10 million and 30 million in stock, the management part, and then I sold it 3 years ago for over 10 million. A lot of people don't know that. So, that's why we're preparing, writing the script for the Matthew Knowles story. It's not going to be like King Richard. My life was not all about my kids. As a father, yes, but as a businessman, but my story really starts growing up as a young kid, first grade, never going to a black school and getting beaten and spit on and electric prodded through junior high, elementary, University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, paying that price as a young black man, as a child, and that grew into a young black man in civil rights. That's where my story really starts. And some of the challenges of that, some of the positive things came out of it, a lot of negative things that required me to go to therapy for years.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the trauma, and your books, as a matter of fact. So I will let them know that they can go to the directory, which is on the top of the screen, and they can purchase your books and they can book you to speak. We're going to talk more about that in a few minutes. But also, so now they've coined it girl dad. And back then they didn't have it. That's the buzzword now, girl dad. How was it to be a girl?
I've never heard that before.
Oh, you.
This is the first time in my life I've ever heard that. It's called girl dad.
Girl dad, yeah.
I've
So
never heard that before.
it's well, because that you're not on social media.
Yeah.
But
Well, I am. You're wrong about that, Dr. King.
oh, okay. I
I'm
thought you
always
said you did.
that's
Okay.
me commenting on LinkedIn.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's me writing a lot of my
okay.
posts.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, girl dad is like now for the dads who have girls, and like I don't know where it came from, but that's a buzz now. So how was it having being a girl dad? Because I know that most girls, they tend to gravitate to their dad. So how was that?
Yeah. Well, have you ever heard on Beyonce's third album, she has a song called Daddy?
No.
You should listen to that. All of you should listen to it. And the chorus of it is, I want to marry someone just like my daddy. Uh, and I think she did. I think, Jay-Z is a wonderful man, extremely smart and brilliant in business, and also brilliant as a rapper. So, growing up, because Tina was working at the hair salon, and as ladies know, Friday and Saturdays are your biggest days. So, I had to play the role of taking the girls to dance lesson and skating and all the things. The little girls come over to the house, want to get on the little slide thing outside. When Beyonce was very young, 4 or 5, I had a bicycle I had retrofitted so she could sit on the front of my handlebars. And
Oh,
most of the time when you saw me on the weekend, she was with me. So I was very proud of her and Solange. Uh, Both of them are just phenomenal women. And I posted yesterday or 2 days ago on Solange. It's now gotten 8,000 views, and just wanted to congratulate her for her creativity, because she chose not to walk in her sister's shoes whatsoever.
mhm.
And she's done everything from furniture design to glass, whatever you call that, with the glass, you mold the shapes of it, to apparel. She does way more than just music. And she's a great storyteller.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you're a blessed man, and your grandchildren are following right in the footsteps. That, first of all, yes, congratulations to both Beyonce and Solange, because they are both brilliant. So and then the baby, I said the baby, she ain't no baby anymore. Blue Ivy, man, she is doing it. I read that she was in the top 10 richest children in the world.
Well, I don't know about that.
That's what they said.
Uh, and mostly of what I read, I don't believe.
Oh, okay.
Um, but I can tell you what I'm proud of, and how this all came about. And on Beyonce's movie, I actually interviewed. Some people have this crazy idea that me and Beyonce don't talk. We talk a lot. Uh, but Blue Ivy was just going to do like a minute or so on the stage. It was going to be fun, but she had one of her friends, and their parents were certainly with her, but they traveled with her throughout the whole tour. And when Blue Ivy went on the first show, it was her first time. So, the first time, like anyone's first time. It wasn't the very best, because it was the first time. But the little girl, I say little girl, I think she was 11, 12 years old. Um, she went on social media and said how awful that Blue Ivy did.
Mm.
And Blue Ivy is a nose. And you don't tell a nose, and you don't challenge a nose and tell them how poorly they did, because they're going to put in the work. We're going to put in the work to make it better. And that's exactly what she did. The next thing I knew, when I went to London backstage, I was like, "Where's Blue Ivy?" Well, she's in there practicing, and she just got better and better and better, and she will continue. She's not even close to the potential, because my belief, based on Malcolm Gladwell's book Outliers, to be great at something, 10,000 hours, which if you dedicated 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, it would take you somewhere between 5 to 6 years to become great at something. But most people don't have the opportunity to dedicate that much time to one thing. It might take them 10 years instead of 5. But she's put in the work, and I'm very proud of her for putting in the work. Jules told me something that I never knew. He said, he calls me Papa G. He says, Papa G, all my grandkids have a different name for me. The grandpa, granddaddy, Papa G. And I like that, because they have their individual name. And he says, Papa G, when I was a little kid, I used to dream about walking the runway. And I was so proud, because I always encourage grown-ups as well as kids, never stop dreaming. And when you dream, it takes the same amount of energy to dream big as it does to dream small. So dream big. All of you listening, don't stop dreaming.
I love that. And yeah, I did see, and your grandson looks so handsome. I saw the runway, and I mean, I know that you're proud. You're, like I said, you're a blessed man. Um, so we got to talk about Texas
I'm in
Hold'em.
no hurry, by the way.
Oh, good. I'm glad, because Ashton and I were talking about that. I said, I hope I'm not on a limit. Um, Texas Hold'em. Oh my God, the first Black woman to ever be #1 on the country Billboard. First of all, everything that Beyonce touches, it seems like turns to gold. It just really does. And it's so inspiring for all of us Black women. It really is. I love that song. Tell me what your thoughts are. Were you surprised?
Well, again, when people like LeBron James, um, Serena Williams, Tiger Woods, Beyonce, they make it look easy, but all of these people put tremendous amount of hours and work in their craft that you never see. Beyonce actually worked on his country album during COVID.
Oh, wow.
Why, and so I was surprised. I didn't know. I knew she was working on something, but I didn't know what it was. But I'm certainly not surprised. I have a demo of Beyonce, a song Solange wrote, Old Stop Sign, a country song, gosh, I guess 10, 12 years ago. I think people, and I don't blame them. They don't know. If you research, then you know. In 2002, I bought a country middle-sized, not a little bitty, like mid-sized country label called Compadre, and I had a legend, Billy Joe Shaver. I sold that 3 years ago with the rest of my catalog. So I'm on the country label. But we also grew up in Houston, Texas. And for those of you that
Exactly.
haven't been to Houston, Texas, we have a rodeo for a couple of months a year. And we have a whole thing of Black cowboys going on their horses, going on the trail. Like, it's a thing, folks. My dad in Alabama loved country music. And if you go back to the history, now you're getting me excited, Dr. King, because you know I like to get intellectual and educational, because I teach at Pepperdine a unique course, that's African American culture from spirituals to hip hop, which is actually a derivative of one of my books, Emancipation of Slaves Through Music. But if you know, and if you didn't know, you're about to learn that the instrument of Akonting, Akonting, 1600s, was formed in Africa. The Akonting instrument is a banjo. The banjo is a derivative of the Akonting instrument. If you didn't know this, the first Grand Ole Opry performance was DeFord Bailey, a Black man.
Go ahead, Doc.
A Black man. So if you look at country music, we Black people came up with country music.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I get sometimes, disappointed, because it's no longer history, it's his story. And his story is how people want to craft the narrative that we don't know. Just like we talk about the blues and Sister Rosetta Tharpe, who really should be credited from the Delta of Mississippi, the blues. Don't get me started, Dr. King. I'll take you
No.
through.
Well, look,
I'm not the
this,
one. I'm the guy that knows his stuff.
that's okay, because we Black History 365 days of the year. So I'm glad that you are sharing this information that I didn't know. But yeah, so And
And I
then,
want to say that course right because I didn't say it. It's African American aesthetic culture from spirituals to hip hop. I'm surprised they're letting us teach it there at Pepperdine, quite frankly, and I thank them for that opportunity.
yeah, so yeah, you're sharing some education, but it's doing very well. And I like TikTok. I know you ain't on TikTok, but I love to see the people. So they're so creative with the dancing. And this is not the first time she's done that. I can't remember the other song, but she had another song on that they had come up with a dance off of. Just brilliant, and I love the way she came to the Grammys with the cowboy hat on. It was the Grammys, right?
People are not paying attention.
Well, we didn't get it. We did.
Beyonce always gives you a hint that
Hint.
becomes subliminal in your mind. Um, and that's her marketing genius. People are telling me, and by the way, I want to give a shout out to Dr. Joy Carr, who I co-teach at Pepperdine with. It's always an honor to teach with her. But I'm always just really surprised that it was a whole controversy about country radio not playing initially Beyonce's record. Well, those of us in the music industry know that radio in general don't move the needle like it used to. She had a #1 song without radio.
She sure did.
People paid attention to that. So those of you in radio, this is an opportunity, country radio. This is an opportunity to grow your base. You should be thankful.
Exactly. And with TikTok and other things, you don't even need radio. Be honest, right?
Well, you need radio. I mean, I teach the music industry in a digital age. Digital radio, is doing, it moves the needle. You still need terrestrial radio. It's one of the many things now that's part of the pie. It's just 15 years ago, radio was everything.
That's all you had.
Today, it's not that. It plays a role. I'm not going to hate on radio. It certainly plays a role, but it's certainly not the type of role that it played 15 years ago because we used to get our hits from radio. Now we have to search often to find the latest and greatest new things. Unless you have, 400 million people follow Beyonce. So she can hit a button and talk to 400 million people. Hell, I guess if she wanted to be president, she probably could win that too. And I hope we talk about some politics because I feel like talking about something tonight.
Well, we
never, ever talk about politics.
We can do that, but let's talk about, since you said that she wanted to be president, she's got the Verizon commercial, which I love. Have you seen it?
At Super Bowl, the Verizon?
Yes.
Oh yeah, of course.
She's everywhere. She is everywhere. I love it.
But I have to say, this is no different than her overall career strategy. When she first came out, she was on L'Oreal. She had L'Oreal commercials. She had American Express commercials. She had Nintendo commercials. She had Walmart commercials. She had Pepsi commercials. She had Mercedes-Benz commercials. I did 18 different endorsement deals for Beyonce. So
when she was young?
Always been like this.
So you're saying when she was young, you did all that?
I'm saying her first albums, yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
Well, let me tell you why. Because the record label has maybe a marketing budget of $1 million, maybe $2 million, if you have a name. And I realized that'll only get you so many in audience, that amount of money. But if I partner with L'Oreal, their marketing budget for a commercial is $25 million. That'll get you almost, 10, 15 times the audience. So we knew that coming from corporate America when the record industry was selling records I was doing branding and endorsement, which is a different concept. And because we did the branding and endorsement, that's why Beyonce is getting that success from, because her name and her whole totality as an artist has been branded for years. So she's just continuing and now doing it on her own. I'm extremely proud of her.
I know that.
And coming up with, now she just puts out an album and doesn't tell anybody, and it goes platinum. And that's
I love that.
a
I love it.
beautiful thing.
Yes, because I love it. But I have to ask you, at the Grammys, how do you feel about what Jay-Z said? Or were you good with that?
Well, I actually went on TMZ the next day and supported it even more so. Because he was absolutely right.
It was.
Again, people don't know who I used to be on the board of the Grammys. I was on the board of the state of Texas Grammy for 20 plus years. And I was in those rooms that makes the decisions on who's nominated for a Grammy for 20 plus years. So I know the process. And the process is that a record label can only endorse one person in a category. So they have to make a decision. And some of it was her record label not supporting her. And I'm unapologetic. It's everybody at Columbia and Sony knows me, and I'm sure they don't want to hear me say that, but it's the truth. And also, the Grammys got to get it together. And 66 times have that award for the song, the Album of the Year award, which is the biggest award. Out of 66 times, only 11 Black people have won the award. That you don't have to say anymore after that. And once you got in all of these genres of music, country, rock, EDM, you have about 15 genres of music. Only gospel, R&B, rap. So we might have 7 people that's voting that's Black, and then all the rest of the people are white. And unless you adjust that, you're going to always have a white person.
Yeah. Well, I thought that, that was, appropriate. He seemed a little nervous, but I'm glad he said it, and it needed to be said as well. I know you want to talk politics, so let me have it.
No, I'm in no hurry. I was excited just to have this conversation.
All right. So where are we going, since the Supreme Court has ruled that your former president can be on the ballot? Well,
I agree with that, actually.
Okay.
I don't think a state has the right to make a decision for a national election. It was the governor, or statewide office. Yeah, they have, in my opinion, the right to do that, but not in a overall national. So I wasn't surprised by that, and nobody else should be surprised by that. My concern is the Democrats and their messaging. It has to get better. I'll give you an example. The governor of Texas is in a wheelchair.
Right.
And the only time I've seen him publicly on any type of media in a wheelchair was just recently when Trump was at the border. The Democrats should never, ever let President Biden be shown walking. And they can control that. They can tell the media, this is where you start filming. I mean, it's little stuff like that. I'm like, what the hell are y'all thinking? You're showing this guy's weaknesses when you can just manage the media and tell them that. Also, I just think, when we look at Roosevelt, he had a disability. And now, again, the Democrats is not using the fact that this man has a disability. Since when do we mock and make fun and it's okay to make fun of somebody with a disability?
Right.
Again, we got a guy who raped somebody.
Mm.
Every time the Democrats should talk, it should be, and he raped somebody. But they're so nice, God-fearing people. And we don't live in that world anymore.
Yeah, it is a different world.
That's what I wanted to say. So
I never thought, that I would see a time like this where one man could have this much power.
Well, we're giving him the power because I said in 2020, look, this guy could win because I'm a marketing guy. That's my expertise. And when you come to the table with 10 million people, because that's his number he had at NBC, you better be alarmed. And he had a base already built. And, it's been shown also, education, how important it is. People with education, who they vote for, and people with lack of education, who they vote for. So education becomes critically important, and we can now see the results. But I tell you what, when he won the election, Black people, we should have accountability for that, especially the state of Michigan, because it's a proven fact, these are real numbers, that almost 40% of the Black people who voted previous for Obama didn't even go and vote. And had we won Michigan, the other thing, we don't understand the electoral college is not who has the most votes, it's who has the most electoral college. So I'm always like, why are we even waste any time in Wisconsin? Who cares? We're not going to win that. Let's spend our energy on those states where the electoral college and we have a shot at it. Strategy. I just don't get the strategy the Democrats use. I mean, they allowed the Republicans to position, and again in marketing, they think it's amazing to me. They think Biden as old, but they don't think of Trump, who's only 2 years apart, as old.
Exactly.
That's the messaging that the Republicans are much better at than the Democrats.
They really are. And Trump makes as many blunders, if not more, than Biden, but the Dems don't point it out.
Well, they just, Dr. King, I saw a troubling commercial where they showed, the Republicans aired yesterday, showed Biden stumbling in a speech. But then it showed him stumbling, walking up some steps. And then it showed him stumbling, going up those steps. And heck, I can hardly do it on Air Force One when you got those kind of steps. He actually fell. It's like, again, like, why do you put this man in a position that he looks bad? And so age has become a concern. But the elephant in the room, folks, is Kamala Harris.
You better say that.
White folks are concerned that this man won't make it through the next 4 years. And let me tell you who they don't want. It ain't Biden, it's Kamala Harris.
That's exactly what it is.
And nobody wants to say that, but that's the elephant in the room.
Well, yeah, that is a fact. But we want to still encourage, don't stay home. Because I'm
but I just want to be clear. We lose this election, I don't want to hear Black people talking. Because the world is going to change for younger Black people. They won't experience the world. It won't affect me. It's some people, Joe Wilson would be the president. Because I'm 72. It's not going to affect me. But it is going to affect you if you're 22, 32, 42, 52, and your world is going to be grossly affected if Donald Trump wins. And so I'm just tired of black people always complaining when they don't go vote. And normally it's the people that complain the most are the people that didn't go out and vote.
Absolutely.
So if we lose this election, and when life change, and when they come knocking on your door and handcuffing you, just remember I said it. It's your fault.
Yeah, and there's something you can do about it. So we encourage you to get out there and vote. I'm going to pivot now because you have so much knowledge, Dot. I am really so honored that we are connected and that I can call you my big brother. But you have so much wisdom that you share and you love sharing. So you're doing speaking engagements. As a matter of fact, I didn't tell you, I'll be speaking at the New Jersey Chamber in May. I'm the keynote for Women Who Empower.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you. And you were just there, what, maybe 5 months ago or something like that?
That's right. And we're having discussions on doing something in Harlem on entrepreneurship. You know, public speaking is my passion.
I know.
We talk about living your passion. That's my passion, to educate and motivate. I teach at Pepperdine, also third year teaching in London at the London College of Contemporary Music. And so last year alone, I was in Bulgaria, I was in Ghana, Dubai, all over the world, motivating and educating, and sharing my story, the good and the bad. Last week in New York, I had 2 speaking engagements, 600 junior high and high school students. I don't normally speak at that level, but I had an amazing time giving them some historical data as we talked about, the music industry, but also the DNA of achievers and those traits. I had 2 people actually get in the box, as I one of the 10 traits is thinking outside of the box. Most people have been conditioned, and the social media even conditions even more to be box-in thinkers, rather than ask, why do we do it this way? People just automatically do it that way because they was told to do it that way. The curiosity of success is gone. The curiosity of why do we do it this way? And it's just exciting to see this young man. He had a suit and tie on, and I asked him to come up, and I always allow that person to pick someone in the audience. 600 people. He didn't know the young man, but he picked another young man that had a suit and tie on. Because that's what we do. That's who we want in the box. And so if you're a hater, guess who you have in the box? Another hater. And you try to move in a box, you can't move because you're hitting walls. And most of us, that's what we do all day long, is box-in thinkers. We just hit walls. One wall, another wall, and just imagine another person in your box. You guys can't, there's no mobility, or very little mobility. But then I asked them to step outside of the box. And then I asked them to walk around the box. And there's no wall. There's nothing stopping you when you're thinking outside of the box. So I enjoy, when I wrote that book, that was my first of 5 books, The DNA of Achievers, still my bestseller, The DNA of Achievers. But I didn't name it DNA in a sense of scientifically genetics, but now I have a different opinion. You said earlier, if kids see their parents sitting on the sofa watching TV all day, they probably going to do that, or video games. Mm-hmm. I actually now, and there's beginning scientific proof that genetically, just like we get diseases, genetically, we also get intellect, Genetically, we also get drive or lack of drive to succeed. We also get work ethics from our genetics. So I just got lucky on the title, the DNA of Achievers. Uh, but now genetics is the first line in early detection of disease. It starts with genetic testing today.
Uh, yeah, and then you got that book, um, through the eyes of racism. I'm
Racism
probably
through the eyes of a child.
that I got to get that one because that is like so. I don't know. It just did something to me when I looked at it. I've got to get that. What is that about?
It's about the story I just told. You know, my mother went to high school
Growing up. Mhm.
with Coretta King in Marion, Alabama, and my mother took up the torch of desegregation. It tells some true stories. When I was growing up, I don't want to give it away because it'll be in a movie. But
Okay.
you know, it talks about the hardships of growing up in the South, George Wallace being a governor, segregation today, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. Uh, it was tough. It was very tough. And like I said, I have scars, and I worked on it. Um, you know, as my therapist once said, it's because of that trauma is why you've been so successful. But it's also because of that trauma why you've made some mistakes. And so I've been able to understand that better. And everything that I did was in the extreme, regardless of what it was. And so I've learned now to just cut out some of the things that in a day that I do and find some time to look out. Right now, I'm looking at beautiful mountains and clouds, and I'm looking here, I'm seeing the ocean, and I'm enjoying that, seeing the beautiful trees and flowers. I never, ever, ever, ever used to do that, but I do now.
You take time. Well, as you grow older, you kind of reflect on some of the things that you didn't do. What are some of the things that you wish you had done differently?
You know, I don't look in the rearview mirror. You know, I've been asked that a lot because I'd rather say that I wish I could have done different. I would prefer to say what are some of the things that I learned
Okay.
because I can't change what I did. Right? I mean, we could talk all day. I wish I had did this. I wish I had did that. But
Hmm.
the reality of it is, none of us can change the past, but we can certainly learn from the past.
Right.
And I've certainly learned a lot of things from the past. You know, when 2002, when I sold Music World and became the president of Music World Sanctuary Urban Management and Records, and had a staff of 75 people, had an office on Sunset Boulevard in LA, had an office on Hadley Street in Houston, had an office in New York, in the warehouse district, had an office in London, which was our corporate office, had an office in Berlin, and I was on an airplane 75% of the time.
Mm.
And anyone that travels know how lonely that can get on the road. I learned from that to not make my cup so full, and focus. I learned that when you're doing a whole lot of things, it sometimes takes away, most of the time, away from your core business, the core things you want to do. And so now I look at that, and it's something I'm going to eliminate off my plate tomorrow. Uh, that I'm saying, no, I'm not doing that anymore. Um, I made a conscious decision. You know, we have a podcast coming out today, but I'm going to do my last one next week.
Mm.
Takes up too much time, but not a return on the investment for podcasts for me. I'm not willing to make that thing that I want to grow. I'm not passionate about it. I'd rather be on the stage and you listen to me than on a podcast. But people don't know the research. The way I like to do it requires a lot of research. When I have someone on, I want to dig way deep. When I had Al Sharpton, I was able to tell him because I researched for hours. This is like hours, and found that when he was a young man, that he worked James Brown. He worked for James Brown, and that's how he got the hairstyle. And some other things that I found. That's what I say when I look back in the past. I just say, I learned something from that experience.
You have done a lot, and I really am happy that you are doing what you want to do, doing what you love to do. And so we're glad that you're in our directory, and people can reach out to you and actually send a message. You'll get the message. You'll get the speaking engagement. They can click right on it. Will take them right to your page, and they can book
Look me to speak. I tell you, you got a chance to see meet Ashton, who's been with me several years now. And again, when I teach even, I don't teach the traditional way. I call it edutainment because I merge education and entertainment together. So when I teach in a class, it's scripted. We have a run-up show and we work for hours, Ashton and I. It's scripted all the way through, and I'm talking, and now I'm saying, let's understand marketing, and then a video comes up. Marketing it, and when I go right out of that, then something else. It's all scripted, and it's a different way of learning when you're not listening to someone just talk about or read something in a book. That they make it exciting and fun to learn.
So if there's people out there that want to book with you, let me ask you, because I know you're a little pricey.
You get what you pay for. You're paying for my knowledge.
Absolutely, I understand what you're saying, but what my question is any of it negotiable?
Everything in life is negotiable.
I had to put it out there, Doc.
Yeah, everything in life is negotiable. At least that's my belief. We make our fee based on what the last event we were paid, and as that goes up higher, then my fee goes up higher. But everything's negotiable. It has to make sense.
Absolutely.
If I'm in London, which I am, Gina and I lived there for a year, 3 months out of a year last year. If I'm in London, then that changes because just the airfare alone to London in business class, if you get your ticket early, it's about $4,500. If you get it late, it's $8,000. So, it's things like that. If I'm in a city, then that's different. But that doesn't happen a lot. But I'm really proud. I get nothing but accolades when I'm on the stage because I love it passionately, and I always say when I'm speaking, I'll stop and say, well, I always know when Beyonce's gotten in that zone, and I do the same thing. There's a certain point, maybe 10 minutes. I get into a zone, and then it's, you can't hear a pin drop, and that's, I'm grateful, I'm blessed. Every time I speak, I get a standing ovation, and so I'm very grateful for that.
Well, like I said, you have so much knowledge, and then your your track record speaks for itself, Doc. I'm glad that you got the opportunity to share some of the things that people didn't know about you, because you said, a lot of people like to put you in a box as Beyonce and Solange's father, but your life is so much bigger than that.
Well, part of that was a transition because there was a time that I was only known as Beyonce, Destiny's Child, and these other artists' manager. It's only until the last 4 years that now it's transitioned as Beyonce and Solange's father. Before that, I was never known as Beyonce and Solange's father.
You were just the manager?
Well, in the business world.
Okay.
I'm talking about that's a whole different thing. People outside of the music industry.
Okay.
But that's what I care about, is what people in the industry who I work with, who's going to be partly helpful in success or failure. And there I was never known as a dad. I was always known as a manager because, I also had Life Jennings and built the #1 gospel with Leandra Johnson, who won a Grammy, Trinity 5-7. We had some big names in gospel and to build that. So nobody ever really, I'm not Leandra's daddy. I'm not Trinity 5-7's daddy. So people didn't look at me like that. Today, I actually probably was the first to start people to say father, because that's my role. Like, you ask me, people ask me about Beyonce's record and they're surprised. Like, I find out information when you find it out. I don't play Beyonce song every day.
Why not? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't play Solange's song every day. When I walk, I listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Okay. Well, we old school.
Yeah. So, but people, it's always amazing because people outside of the music industry don't know how it works. And we always kind of laugh at people outside of it. I call it the Jedi mind trick. I mean, most people don't have a clue how it works.
Well, I am super proud of you, and I'm going to keep on saying, if you guys want to read all about Dr. Knowles, you can go to the directory, blackwomanempowereddirectory.com. Got his whole bio. We got videos up.
So do people get to ask questions while
they are kind of typing. They're not really. I'll ask them, do you have any questions that you want to ask?
It's been a few minutes.
Well, they're saying good stuff, but I haven't. I'll open up the floor if you have any questions, because I, trying to catch up with Doc is kind of hard, and he's given me unlimited amount of time tonight, which is very rare.
Yeah, for you, most people don't know that we got our PhD from the same school.
Most people don't know that, and that we actually worked together for over a year.
And we actually worked to get our PhD.
Well, that too, and on other projects.
Yeah, it was really hard for me.
You really have been an influence in my life. I love to watch when your wheels start turning. And look, you crack me up. He said, "Well, wait a minute. Now, wait a minute. We ain't doing that." And I know when you say it, I'm like, okay.
Well, at least I give context why we're not doing it.
You do. But when you say we ain't doing it, we ain't doing it. You can
That's kind of like my grandfather. My grandfather, Dave Hogue, was like that. He was a brilliant man.
And we don't challenge you either. We be like, okay, Doc said we ain't doing it. Guess what? We ain't doing it.
Oh, I don't mind being challenged.
Well, no, well, if you said it, you really have a good reason.
Yeah, but you know me, Dr. King, I don't speak on things that I'm not an expert.
I
If
know.
if I don't know something, I will gladly say, I don't know that area. Uh, you know, where some people won't do that, because the brain also, when you say a word that the brain doesn't know what that word means, the brain actually freezes for a few seconds. So if I said peace of mind is radiated in one's countenance, and it's not easy to come by unless you work at it each and every day, I lost people because they don't know what countenance means. But I like to give examples how day to day we allow words to come in that we don't know, and we stop communicating because you don't know countenance means facial expression, which is radiated in one's facial expression. And that's just an example. I love to storytelling and give examples of how our brain operates. The same way when we see someone for the first time ever, it's called the 3-second rule. I give it. When you see someone for the first time, you make an opinion that never goes away. You say that person is smart, that person's dressed great, that person, some negative things. And you keep that opinion. It takes that's why that first impression is so important, but it happens so quickly, typically in 3 seconds. That's the things that I hope why my, Beyonce and Solange are so successful is they got the opportunity to hear me explain this stuff like this. That most people don't think about in their decision making. So I'm really proud of that. And I learned it, a lot from my grandfather. And I had a mentor, Reverend B.L. Walker, who used to make me, he was my godfather. He lived on the same street, like about 7 doors down. And every time you saw this guy, he had a suit and tie on. And I asked him one day, I was like, Reverend Walker, why do you wear a suit and tie just to go down to the store? He says, because it's important what people think of you and the impression that you make.
Mm-hmm.
I heard those kind of things when I was 7, 8 years old that stayed with me for a long time. That's why having a mentor is so important.
It really is. As a matter of fact, believe it or not, my mentor got me the speaking engagement with the New Jersey Chamber.
Wow.
Carolyn says, how can you reach him? So we've been saying this the whole time. If you go to the directory, it's at the top of the screen, blackwomanempowereddirectory.com. You can send a message that will reach him. So that's how you can reach him. Go to the directory and click on contact. There's a contact form, and that form will go to his people, and then he will get the message.
Do you mind, Dr. King, if I give them a second alternative?
Oh, sure. But let me just say, someone says they have a question. I don't mean this is a joke. Seriously, learning this from, I don't even know. Go ahead and give it out. I got to read this and
No,
see.
I mean, another way it's MathewKnowles.com, my name.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, that takes them to that site.
Yeah.
That's why it
Yeah.
takes them directly to your site. So,
Yeah.
what is your go-to on goal setting for the girls when they were starting out to sing, and for your career vision boarding? Were you using a vision board or a planner or something to that effect?
Yeah, again, I'm gonna probably my post. I'm really getting into posting on social media personally.
Oh, good for you. I'm impressed.
I got my
I'm
numbers
impressed.
really, like, I think just this month of long 2 point something impressions. I mean, it's really exciting to see that. But my goal has always been, you got to understand that, in high school, I was on a championship basketball team. At Fisk University, I was on a championship basketball team. I was fortunate to be the #1 sales rep in the world 3 out of 4 years in the medical division of Xerox, to build House of Darion and sell it for $75 million with Tina and Beyonce, their creativity. So you asked me what was my goal, and it's always to be #1. I never set a goal other than to be the very best at it. And quite frankly, anybody who's taken a course from me knows the first day of class, I always say, if you came in here just wanting to be good, don't come back. I don't want to teach how to be good. I teach how to be great.
You know what?
I have a mental headset that whatever I do, I'm going to be the very best at it. My kids have that mental health headset. Whatever they do, they're going to be the best at it. And oh, by the way, when we talked about Beyonce and country, also in the UK, she's the first woman, and I'm talking about what's some of the female country greats? Winona,
Dolly Parton.
They've never had a #1 song in London, in the UK. So around the world, it's shifting, but the world is shifting. I mean, this whole thing about immigration is about the browning of America. And a lot of people are frightened and have fear. The world is changing.
It is.
Proud.
And what they're trying to do is stop it from changing. They're trying to yeah. Well, I don't want to get into how years ago, when I was working for the electric company, we went to classes on how in 2000 it was going to be different. You would be on an elevator with people that would be speaking a different language, and back then I couldn't even fathom, that happening. But we actually took courses on that. Somebody says, what key strategies do you attribute to the success and longevity of Destiny's Child, Solange, and other artists? And how do you apply those principles in your current business ventures?
Very good question. This my 30 some years, I was, I'm still in the music industry because I teach it. But in the heyday of music world entertainment, the company I founded, you can only imagine how many artists would come and audition and attempt to get a record deal. And they would go, we had a different building there in Houston. They would go, some of them go set up. And I will always help Lynn, my assistant, who's been with me 23 years now, have them come and come and sit with me on the sofa. And I would just talk. Anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half to some artists. And the reason I did, and to come to the answer for you, is multiple. I wanted to understand if they were passionate about being successful as an artist, or was it about money? They looked at it as a means of making money, or was it they wanted fame and fortune? I wanted to know they were actually passionate. I use that word so much. I mean, I wanted to know that they were excited and wanted to put in the work. So when you looked at Destiny's Child and Beyonce and Solange, they all three have one thing in common. They were extremely passionate about it. And when you do that, you practice. And we used to do something with Destiny's Child called, we used to practice failure. How do you practice failure, people say? Well, they didn't know when the lights were going to go off, or the music was going to go off, or the microphones were going to go out, even to the point that they might have a wardrobe malfunction. We would sometimes cut the shoe heels so the shoe heel would break, loosen up the buttons so the button would pop. Things that are going to normally happen when you perform. And we practice that. So you're prepared. You see a lot of artists, when the music goes out or something, they freeze up. I always like when I see Watched, oh gosh, in the desert when Beyonce, Coachella. That's a great example. 99% of the people didn't realize that Beyonce and Solange actually fell. But they played it off so cool and were prepared that it looked like it was part of the show. And they laughed it off. Well, but they had prepared for that. And so the audience had no clue. So that's why. And those are the things. It's the psychological aspect of being successful. Do you really want it? Do you really want to put in the work? Are you going to listen? Are you going to think you know the answers when you have no experience?
Well, the people are really engaged. They're typing all kind of stuff. The screen is going by very fast. Cherise says, is your course at Pepperdine limited to students, a student's course curriculum, or open to anyone?
Yeah, I wish it was, but unfortunately it's not. But we have a solution for that. We'll begin to have master classes online before the end of this year. So stay tuned for that. We certainly will look out for a company called Icarus. It's one of the companies we'll be partnering with online.
Someone says, wow, practice failing. I love that. Like practice the winning five shot seconds before the game ends. Yeah, people are really engaged. This has been really great. Got a lot of people chiming in. We're actually on 5 Facebook pages. We're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, and we're on LinkedIn simultaneously.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you know me. You know I love social media. You know that. That's what I do.
That's your thing. I literally read. I'm the only one on LinkedIn. That's me, 100% communicating. But let me tell people on LinkedIn.
Well, you know what you can tell. I mean, actually, if you read it, because you can tell a lot of your posts you can tell they're coming from your heart. And who would know to actually express it the way you do? You know.
Well, look, I was about to say though, Dr. King, whenever somebody goes on LinkedIn and writes 3 paragraphs, 4 paragraphs, I don't even read it. Just so you know, I don't even read it, because when it gets to 3, 4 paragraphs, that's all emotional. You need to get to it and get to it fast. I see all day people. I don't have time to read 3, 4, 5 paragraphs. So I just want to share with people. I don't even read those. I move to the next one. Just so you know, and most people in my position, I mean, we just don't have the time. We learned that when somebody's doing that, they've gotten quite emotional, because you should be able to tell someone in a paragraph what you want, what your ask is.
Sherelle says, tell us more on how to mentally prepare for success.
Okay. Let's think about that. I think you have to first see yourself, mentally visualize yourself. I do visualization. I'm an artist, visualize on the stage. I'll tell you something. I share this. When I graduated from Fisk, my first interview was with IBM. And I was fortunate to, a young kid out of college, get an interview with IBM and Xerox, who were the best 2 companies in America you could work for. We're talking 75. I interviewed IBM. But let me tell you about this interview. Dave Huber, I will never forget this white man's name. He made that much of an impression. I go into his office. He closes the blinds. He says, Mr. Knowles, how old are you? I think I was 25, 24. He says, I want you now to be 44. And this is actually what happened in the interview. He says, now you're 44. Where do you live? Are you married? Do you have kids? Do you have pets? What kind of car do you drive? What kind of job does your wife has? How much does she make? What kind of job do you have? How much do you make? He wanted me to visualize the future. I'll never forget that interview. And I've used it many times on visualization. Also, believing. I just have a belief that I can do it. I'm not frightened to think outside of the box. I just believe I can do it. I can critical thinking and analytical thinking. Uh, even Beyonce on the movie, she said, "My dad is real analytical." I like to break it down and figure it out, but visualization is a key element for me.
It is, and you can tell in everything that you do. You so back to your speaking. So, and you didn't know because Ashton and I were both talking about this before. When they go to our directory, it connects to your directory, to your website. Everything, the books, it connects to the bookstore. You can go on there and purchase the books. You can go on there, and when you click on it, it goes to your speaking page
Oh, I see.
right there. So, but let's see. So Sherelle says, I love the idea of visualizing success. Corporate America didn't prepare me after 30 years to be an entrepreneur or the sadness that can come with winning. So,
Corporate America, it has some of it, and it's changed drastically also.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
um, Leadership becomes really important. I'll tell you something else, Dr. King, that most people don't know. Uh, and this happened 3 years ago. I went back to school and attended Harvard. Online and professional development and ethical leadership was one of the exciting courses that I took. But we're lacking a lot of leadership, not only just in corporate America, but just in the world today as a whole. And a lot of it, there's some really good things about social media, and there's some really bad things about social media. Um, the bad thing about it is that, in my opinion, this is just my perspective, is in a way it's our young people, it's dumbed them down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's so little truth in some social medias. I'm a LinkedIn guy because I think that's where business people go. Um, uh, when I post something on Instagram and it's something that's intellectual or uplifting, I might get 400 people to look at it. I put a photo of Beyonce, I'll get 10,000.
Well, you
Because
already know.
that's where young people live. I understand it. That's where they live, and that's what they want to hear. And we have to, as part of it, learning is knowing on social media where to go and where the different audiences live, and how you sometimes have to communicate differently to those audiences.
It's funny that you say that because, and I know you didn't know about it because I talked to you about it, about the girl who did the 50-part series, Tessa. I don't even remember what her name is now. Tessa Reese or whatever. That's not a real name. She out of that thinking outside of the box, doing that 50-part series. She's been on the Today Show. She's been on Tamara Hall. She's been with Gail King, and now I hear she had 400 million views on TikTok. That's an outside of the box thinker to come up and
Yeah.
say, uh, "Who the f did I marry?" That's what she named it.
Well, to me, when I hear that, the first thing I'm thinking as you're talking, how is she going to monetize it? Because shame on you, you have 400 million people. It's great. Wow. Uh, they're all looking at you. You're famous. I can't take famous to my banker. If I go to my banker and say, "Hey, I want to deposit my fame," I get nothing. So the question is how are you going to take 400 million people and monetize it? Then you sound smart to me. The
But wait a
fact,
minute, she just got a big deal with a major, according to what they say, a major speaking. They put her on their speaking roster where you can book her. I'm thinking that's money, right?
well, that's great. That's great. That's what I'm saying. But
Well, that's what
I
that's
hope
what
that
she
was the
said.
plan. Like,
I don't think she had a plan.
this is my idea. I'm going to execute my idea. And as a result of that, these are the things that are going to happen. Or was it just, I'm just going to put up something
That's
crazy?
what I think it was.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like it was carefully planned out,
Yeah.
but whatever it was, it got the attention of 400 million. She signed with a major talent agency. Thank you so much. So that's what they said. So I don't think
But you
she.
know, the conversion rate of social media is only 1%. You're lucky if you get 2%. So anything when you got, just 1% of it is going to buy something. Most people get confused that if I got 100,000 people, uh,
I know.
I talk to artists all the time that think because they got 100,000 people that they all going to come to their concert. I'm like, man, 100,000 means you're going to get 1% of that. 1,000.
Yeah,
Oh God.
but you have really I thank you again. We're gonna have to do this again. um I really thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on. The people are loving it.
Oh, Gina says hello, by the way.
Hi Gina. I will tell her I can't wait to meet her. I feel like we're already connected anyway. She's a beautiful queen, and her dimples are amazing.
And she's my best friend.
I know. And okay. Look, since you got more time, let's talk about that. Uh, how is it being married to your best friend?
So that's amazing. I tell you, you can be 100% authentic all the time, and that's what I love about my wife. Like she's she's never up and down. She's always just bubbly and happy, and yeah, like anybody, we very seldom, but sometimes we might have some negative words for 2 minutes, and next day it's over. There's no carryover. We talk about things and we move on like any couples do. But I spend, when I travel, I travel 90% of the time with Gina. And we love to travel. I mean, she was a flight attendant for Pan Am, professional model for years. And then she was Vanessa Williams' tour manager and assistant for like 10 or 12 years. So she understands the music industry. We don't talk about it. That's been the key to our marriage. We don't talk about business unless, she asks me, do I want to talk about it? But we have fun. Matter of fact, in an hour and a half, actually in 30, 36 minutes, we're going to hang out with some friends and a new place we hadn't been to. We love live music, and so we do a lot of dinners and live music, and with ourselves, we enjoy each other and having fun. Like,
Doc, do you dance?
huh?
Do you dance?
I can really dance,
You can really dance?
like really, really dance.
Really?
Yeah, where do my kids get it from? I'm an athlete. I was a star athlete, Dr. King. I- Shoot.
You just be doing them slow dances. You don't be. You do the old. You do the old people
I
just
can
rock that.
dance. I mean, I can't today because of my doggone knees.
I
Uh,
know, right? Right. You know, we both had Denise. Oh yeah, you didn't even ask me how I'm doing, but I'm almost
how you
there.
doing?
I'm almost there. I am almost there. I am
Got your
surprised.
range of motion to what, 16?
Oh no, I think I'm probably at 130, 140. I don't know. I don't even go to therapy. He stopped my therapy.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
So I'm
I did
doing
some
good.
different new stuff on my other knee. They went into my both my hip bones and took out the core and injected it into my knee. And then I go every 3 months. They get blood, shake it up, and inject that in my knee. And that's to regenerate the cells. I mean, Kobe Bryant was one of the uh, bless his soul, was one of the athletes that kind of started that. I want to say something while I mentioned Kobe Bryant. He had this thing called 666. And 666, the basketball season is normally 6 months. And most basketball players, after 6 months, 80 some, 100 plus games sometimes, after the season, they want to relax and, kind of blow off some steam. And Kobe didn't do that. 6 months after the season, for 6 months, he practiced 6 days a week, 6 hours a day. And I'm telling you, people like Serena Williams does the same thing. I know Beyonce spent a whole month to do 3 minute show on the Grammys of rehearsals and practice. People don't know what's required for greatness. You have to commit to greatness, which means you have to put in the hours that's required to become great at something. It's not microwave.
It's
You
true.
just see it because these people are so professional at it, and it looks like, oh, wow. But you don't have any idea the amount of work they put in.
I say it all the time that the biggest roadblock to success is not being consistent.
Yeah.
You don't see the results immediately and then you give up, right, Doc?
Yeah, and success can be defined in different ways to different people.
Right.
Uh,
But one thing that if you stop, you're not going anywhere. If you
no,
don't.
you can't do that. You can't do that. I know these folks, and I know these folks, and I'm telling you, you just wouldn't believe. Somebody asked me, I was in London, and one of my students in a Q&A asked me, he said, I went to a Prince show, and Prince threw the guitar up in the air, and it flipped over 3 times, and it landed in one of the crew people's hand in the perfect position. Do you think he practiced that, Dr. Knowles? I'm like, hell yeah, he practiced that. You have no idea probably how many times he practiced that. Did you think he just did it one time and it turned out like that? It doesn't work like that, young man. He practiced that one thing thousands of times. I guarantee you. Uh,
Wow. Well, you
Sweetheart,
know what?
are you telling me I need to get ready? Okay. My wife is telling me I got to get off this
You got
thing.
to get up. But wait, I got one more thing to say.
I got time for one
One
more.
more minute. So Ashton and I were talking before you came on, and he told me that when he took your class, um, you said that they didn't want to be. I can't believe that you all want to be in entertainment, and no one has asked me for an internship. That was pretty profound. And he said he went right up to you after that and asked for internship, and he's been with you ever since. That's powerful. Doc, thank you so much. You and Lady Queen, Lady Gina, have a wonderful time. We'll have to do this again when you can fit it in your schedule, okay?
I enjoyed it so much, Dr. King, and uh, thank you, all of you that stayed for an hour and a half to listen. Thank you so much. I hope I have the opportunity to speak for one of your organizations. Again,
We have to make that happen.
make it happen.
I think we can pull it off.
I gotta go. I don't want my wife. I don't want my wife to open that door again and peep out. Like, give me that look. I'm out. Love y'all. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Bye.
Everybody.